so early. You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
How you doing, fellas? That's not decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is Monday. Feels like a Monday. Man, I feel like shit. I've downed my allergy medication. I'm just gulping down caffeine to try to get my energy levels up to normal. And I see already we have folks jumping in to watch the show. Good morning to D. Bud Martin. How are you today, sir? Our good friend John Das Wolfen. And for Das Wolfen, of course, I have my favorite little Mike Myers.
Before we begin, would you like to touch my monkey?
There you go. Of course, Martina Costa Santana is here to manage the chat, and he is in the chat.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be on the back, but I'm here. Don't fear.
And of course, we've got Penny is here. Good morning, Penny. The lovely Sherry, Kingsport Cal. And that looks like the party at this point. Oh my gosh. It's been a weird few weeks. It was a rough weekend. A lot of stuff happening. We lost Clu Gallagher, one of my favorite character actors from, well, really the 60s and early 70s. And he got his start on TV, on Westerns. But often he played cops on television. And it's sad, we lost him. I'll share my screen. There he is. One of the last things I really remember him in was in that Greenlight produced, that was Matt Damon, Ben Affleck's little company, and they did a series based on independent films that they would produce. And his son directed, and he co-starred in the movie Feast, about a bar out in the middle of the desert that finds itself under siege from these genetically altered creatures. And I think one of my favorite moments with him was in the movie Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer. It was a small part, but it's a memorable part. And he plays an FBI agent who has to deliver some money to them from a rich guy. He says, I was told to leave this bag of money here with you, ask no questions, and leave. So he sets the bag of money down, starts to leave, turns around, opens the bag and grabs bundles of cash and shoves it into his suit pocket, looks at me and goes, oh, hell, who the hell are you going to tell? And leaves. It was just, it's actually one of my favorite films of all time is Into the Night. It was produced, co-written and directed by John Landis. It's got a lot of big actors in it. Dan Aykroyd's in it, bit part. David Cronenberg is in it. David Bowie is in it. Jim Henson is in it. Oh my gosh, Carl Perkins is in it, the guy who wrote Blue Suede Shoes. What a great film, really. Yeah, we lost him, man. But he lived a good life, man. The guy was 93 years old, you know. When you get to your 90s, you've lived a full life, so it's not as tragic or sad. You know, I feel that way even when you hit your 80s. I'll be lucky if I get through my 70s. Yes, he was. He had he just had a way about him. Clue is just a cool dude. And he always played cool dudes. It was easy for him. And of course, you know, this news is pretty rough too. We lost Roger Mosley this weekend. And that was TC on Magnum PI. And what a lot of people don't know about this guy is he was not an activist, but he was very much about being in the Black community and making a point. And one of the things he ran into when he's playing TC on Magnum PI is the writers kept writing him as a heavy drinker smoker, because he would go to Rick's bar and fucking, you know, drink and smoke, and he refused to do it. And he felt that was a bad impression to put on young Black men and girls, seeing him do that. He was very much about being a positive role model, and he stayed that way throughout his whole life. And he was in films. You know, a lot of people mostly know him from this, but he played in they mentioned it here right at the top, the folk legend Leadbelly. But the fact is, you know, he'll be always remembered as playing TC, Theodore Calvin, TC on Magnum PI, and being best friends with Magnum. And one of the things I always liked on the show is that Magnum, who lives at a billionaire's house, is broke all the time, while TC is independently wealthy from owning his own business. So the characters on that show are so great. It's the thing they failed at really with the new series. The only thing they got right was TC and Rick. Magnum and Higgins were they weren't very good characters. Good actor playing Magnum, but way miscast. Not the right actor for that part. So we lost those two this weekend. What a break, man. In the movie The Greatest back in '77, this is a movie I remember watching as a kid. Mosley is 36'2" and 215 pounds in his prime, portrayed Sonny Liston and got whooped by Muhammad Ali in the film. And Muhammad Ali played himself in that film. So anyway, a sad, somber weekend for me. So that's enough on that, mate. Sorry, mate. You know, and of course, the sad thing with TC, I mean, he was in his 80s, lived a good life, had a great life, had a great family. He was in an automobile accident last Thursday, and he was in Cedars-Sinai all the way through Sunday when he passed. He was in critical condition, and just the odds were against him. So, but anyway, I see we've had some more additions to this morning chat. Aaron Ratliff is here. TC and Mr. T and Bill Cosby were the ultimate positive role models of the 80s. Sadly, Cosby turned out to be a super creep. Sadly, that is the case. You know, it broke my heart what happened with Bill, because I really looked up to Bill as a kid growing up. And yeah, but you know what? Shit happens. People aren't always what they seem to be, you know, and that's the problem. You know, you should be careful who you put up on a pedestal. I see Anima Confused is here. Good morning, Anima. I think I will go to our channel so I can finally put a wrench to your name. I think it's important. I think it's important to put wrenches by some people's names. It's so essential. Let's see. Opening up. Going to the show. Oh, I do not want to hear myself talk, so I'm muting and stopping it. And hey, you already have a wrench by your name. Who did that? Oh, Martin must have done it. That's right, Aaron. I've made it a point. I've done a lot of interviews. Gerry Willoughby and I have done a lot of interviews for Blade Runner, and I have never reached out, even though Ridley actually knows who I am. I'm cautious and have never reached out to interview him or Harrison Ford. And now I've talked many a time with Paul Salmon. Paul has told me you should reach out to him. And I'm like, no, not gonna do it. I'll die before I do that, because I know how grumpy both men can be, and if I catch them on the wrong day, or if I say something that irritates them, it's going to ruin it, Brian. Ruin. And I just don't want to do that. I like that mystery. Then maybe Keith did, because somebody gave you the wrench, Anima. You told me you didn't have one, and I was going to do that today, and you've got a wrench. And so I don't know how that happened. Only two people could have done it other than me. And that's Martin and, of course, Keith. Anima sneak attacked her wrench. So you can wave them all you want to, Anima. Just don't throw them. Although one of my favorite moments in that movie, Dodgeball, was when, I just forgot his name. Great actor, great character actor. Says, if you can outmove a wrench or avoid a wrench, you can dodge, or if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Great fucking line. Yeah, if you can dodge a wrench, there you go. That's the line right there. I love that fucking movie. That's a great film. What's that? Oh no, that's right. God damn. While we were talking last night, I went in and hard code added you as a wrench. So I did it. I forgot. I did it while I was talking. That's why, because you distract me when we're talking. And I focus on our conversation, not what I'm doing. And because you have that effect on me, Anima. Rip Torn. You know something I got to say about Rip Torn? My grandpa, I lost him in 69. But I still have fond memories of him. Rip Torn was absolutely one of his favorite character actors in Westerns and stuff like that. He thought it was great. My grandpa liked actors who, male actors who acted like men. And Rip Torn was a man's man. He's a tough guy. In real life, he was. And it really did translate well into the TV screen. No, you're not confused. Did you have a cat nap? Did you? It's one thing I don't do, King's Poor Cow. I'm not a teetotaler, mind you. I have a history of heavy drinking. Because I was a professional drinker, man. I drank the shit out of good whiskey and Guinness Stout. And I could put many a hard drinker under a table. And the thing that freaked out a lot of my drinking friends was I'd never go to the bathroom. They're like, don't you have to pee? You've drink like gallon of fucking beer, you know, and it's like, nope. Because just like my dad, I had that really weird ability to hold it. But the problem is, once I go, I'm going to keep going. Once you open those floodgates. No, I really don't. I only drink maybe once, twice a year. I'll get what happens with me is I get a hankering for Guinness because it is one of the most delicious things I've ever had. It was the first thing I ever drank. I was 13 years old, and I was in a village in Ireland on a Sunday, and the only thing open, we're bicycling. Three of my friends and I were bicycling on the countryside, and the only thing open was a pub. So I poked my head in because we were tired, and we wanted to kind of sit down and maybe have something to eat. And I opened the door and I stuck my head in, and I said, we're a bunch of kids. Is it okay if we come in? And I'll never forget what he said. He's like, lad, if you're tall enough to belly up to the bar, you're old enough to drink here. And my eyes got really huge. And went, really? He's like, yeah. And I leaned back out the door and I'm like, if we can belly up to the bar, we can actually have beer. And so we did. We bellied up to the bar and we all had Guinness. And it's true. It was served at room temperature. It's not chilled. When I was younger, Kingsport, I did not pace myself. I didn't worry about it. I didn't act drunk when I was drunk. I'm slocky in the neighborhood. I never did that. In fact, the eyebrow, I was legally allowed to drink at 18, but I started when I was, like I said, I was 13, but I didn't really start drinking again until I was 17. And when I was 17, I used to go drinking with Keith Lee. He was the kicker for our football team. He's one of my best friends in high school. And sometimes we'd just park the car and just talk and drink Foster's. Australian for beer. It's not. Nobody in Australia drinks Foster's. It's an export beer only from Australia. And I would sit and drink with him all the time. He was such a good bro, man. And then we go to this place called Fridays. Not to be mistaken with TGIF, the restaurant. This was a local place, and it was right next to Kel's Arcade, where my dad would be, and we'd sneak out. The three of us, Keith Lee, I think Philip Sullivan was the other person. We'd sneak out and we'd go to Fridays, and we'd have cheese fries, because that was my first ever trying cheese fries. It was amazing. And we would all three get pitchers of beer. And Keith Lee would do all the buying, use his ID, get us a beer. And I remember I was chugging out of this pitcher of beer, and my dad had left Kel's Arcade and walked to the window, because we were sitting at the table right there at the window, the main window. And I looked through the bottom of the pitcher and I saw my dad looking around, and I'm like, oh shit. And I dropped it under the table and I went, hey, Dad. But I faked not being drunk by raising my eyebrow. And I don't think I did it on purpose. It was just something that would happen. And my dad would say something to me. I'd walk in the apartment. I go, yeah, had a good night. We were hanging out doing this. I was hammered. And he told me he never noticed I was hammered. So I handled my liquor well. But I've drank a lot of people under the table. They're like, well, I'll drink you. No, you can't outdrink me. But those were good old days. In my 30s, I went to a party. I remember I went to a party, and I don't remember much of the night. I just remember waking up in my bed with two trash cans next to the bed full of vomit. And I had my one leg off the bed, because I got so fucking hammered that night. I didn't black out. I just don't remember it. I decided I'm done with this shit. I don't want to do this anymore. And in the military, I drank like a motherfucker. I'm a competitive drinker. I'm very competitive about everything. Good morning, Code Raven. Good to see you here. War Monkey, one of my two favorite monkeys, is here. Good morning, sir. Good to see you, man. Hope you had a good week. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Despite the sad news, somber news. Both those gentlemen, as much as we love them, were old. One 83, the other one 90, man. They lived good lives. It's sad that we lost them, but it's not tragic. It's part of the process. We live to die, man. That's what it is. You drank liquor with your dad? It was surreal. I never drank with my dad, ever. I shared a beer with him once, and it was really weird for me. And my dad quit drinking when I was a kid. My dad was an abusive drunk. I'm a friendly drunk. I'm overly friendly. I've just become very jocular, and it magnifies my personality. I become very silly. But I still don't like it. I didn't like the way I felt about it. Didn't like the way it made me feel when I drank. But my dad was an ugly drunk, and he'd knock the shit out of me. He was abusive, but he was a good man. He couldn't handle his booze. And the irony is that his father, my grandfather, whom I loved dearly, he had booze problem because he suffered from severe, what they called then shell shock, combat fatigue in World War II, but later it was just eventually called post-traumatic stress disorder. And he had severe PTSD. He shook until the day he died. When he came back from France, from World War I, his hands shook. The amazing thing about my grandfather, and I remember watching this as a kid, that if you put a knife in his hand or a hook, the hands would always he would become so focused they would stop shaking. But the minute he relaxed his hands, they would start shaking again. And he had terrible tremors from what happened to him. And one of the things, and because I wrote about it, I wrote a screenplay called The Bastard's Drum. The Bastards Brigade. That was it, The Bastards Brigade. And he was in a Bastards Brigade. He was originally a cannoneer. He was trained on a howitzer and sent to France to fight the Germans in World War I. He was there from the very beginning, and he was there to the last day. And with all the combat and all the shit that they saw, and he killed a lot of people, and we know that, he didn't like guns. It was not because he was anti-gun. He didn't like them because they took him back whenever he would fire a gun. So my grandfather became more of a fisherman than a hunter. But when he died in 1969, he didn't want a 21 gun salute done. He was in the hospital. He died slowly in the hospital. They actually killed him. He had COPD, and they were giving him pure oxygen. And he was in an oxygen tent. And the problem is when you're in a pure oxygen atmosphere with COPD, is that you get an excessive buildup of CO2. And the CO2, because of the swelling of the alveoli and the mucus that's created, prevents the CO2 getting out. So you're suffocated. And they suffocated my grandfather to death over a period of a week. He slowly suffocated. And but he begged him that, I don't want a 21 gun salute. And but once he passed away, my aunts, they refused to listen to him, and ordered the 21 gun salute from the local VFW. But my grandpa had the last laugh. Only a handful of the guns went off. Most of them, it was so cold the guns didn't go off that morning. I remember that morning, burying my grandpa. And amazingly, one of the things I remember, and I always find his grave, is he was buried about 25 feet from a tree. And whenever I go to that cemetery, I just look for that tree because it's huge now. But when I remember on the day that he was buried, it was a sapling. And so whenever I see that tree, it makes me think of Grandpa. And of course, that's where he's buried. Let's see. JWC Reviews is here. Good morning. How are you doing, my friend? My father was a Vietnam vet who got addicted to heroin. That's actually very common. Same thing happened to my brother, Stephen. He got hepatitis from shooting up. And damn near killed him. And ironically, hepatitis is what damn near killed my other brother, Jim, and did kill my brother, Michael, because he sought treatment. We thought we caught it on time. The doctors all said that we caught it in time back in 2013. But too much damage had been done by his ignoring it. He let it go too long. And I remember his last phone call to me, I don't even want to repeat it, but it was one of those painful calls I ever got. And he woke up in the morning. My sister had gone to work. He was staying with my middle sister. And he started, he was hemorrhaging. And he started throwing up blood. And because my brother was, all of us kind of raised, we don't want to be a problem. We don't want to be trouble for anybody. He just sat there and just kept throwing up all day into the evening. And you can't lose that much blood. You just can't. He lost a copious amount of blood, vomiting through his hemorrhaging. And by the time my sister got home 9 hours later, and found him, he was near unconscious, and she rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. He let it go too long. And that's what killed him. He started going into organ failure. Just one organ after the other, cascading impact, just shut down. And he was gone. For him, he died young, and it was unacceptable. I was really angry at him for doing what he did. One, not seeking treatment earlier for his hepatitis. And because you can just take medication for it. It woke my brother Jim up. Jim went and got treatment. So he'll live. But Mike, and everybody knows why. He's my favorite brother. Because we were close as kids. I love my brothers. I love my sisters. But he was the one I was close to, Michael. But yeah. Destiny Captain, good morning. And I'm going to imagine that is Stephanie Beatty over on Facebook. Bill Barkley, good morning, my friend. It's good to see all you guys. And I want to read this too. Grandpa from the afterlife. I told you I don't want that shit. Nope. Yeah, I really do believe that's what he did. My dad and I talked about it for years that Grandpa helped make that happen. I'm not a big believer in ghosts and stuff like that, hauntings, even though I've seen some crazy shit. But I do believe in residual hauntings. I believe that high deposits of ferrous metals and copper and what's the other one? Quartz. A lot of some of the most established hauntings, it's been discovered, a bulk of them are known to be over deposits of quartz, copper, and ferrous metals. raging abusive drunk because of his time in Korea until he killed one of my uncles back in the 70s over a card game. Man, Aaron. Yeah. Never bring a knife to a gunfight. Yes, I started watching it. I couldn't finish it because I got into a conversation with a certain somebody, and I forgot to go back. But it is still open on my. Hold on, here it is. I'll just show you real quick. Share, just to show you. I'm not kidding because I don't lie. It's one of those weird things. I'm known for coloring things more entertainingly. But boom, there it is. I had it open and I got about less than a minute into it and got a distraction. Well, I'll tell you, my grandfather, and I when I was a nurse, I took care of a gentleman that knew my grandfather, and he saw my name tag, and I came in to check his vitals, pass meds, and as I was doing this, he looked up my name tag and he says, "Kissel, are you any relation to Everett Kissel?" And I went, "Yes, sir. He's my grandfather." He's, "Oh my God, I was a friend with your grandfather." Man, hell of a man right there. Never saw a man that could fish like him. Good God, give you the shirt right off his back. He was a generous, kind man till he drank. And he was a son of a bitch, and you want to nowhere near him. Just like laughed at him, like I know. Because we had an incident too with my grandfather, and it's what led to him quitting drinking. And it's the same sort of thing that happened to my dad, because my dad used to talk about how embarrassed he was that Grandpa, he would have to find him asleep on the street outside of a bar, passed out. It embarrassed him. And for him later to become an alcoholic, a boozer, he was a boozer, always shocked me, because it's why I don't drink much, is because I know that my family and the history, both sides, my mom was a boozer too. I never became addicted to it. I easily should have, but never did. I was a pro drinker, man, but I could go long spells without drinking. Wasn't even interested in it. It was only when I was hanging out with my friends that shit would come up. Wait, what's this? Who's fighting over you? Oh. So with my own father, with Grandpa, what happened was he got really angry with my Uncle Harold. My Uncle Harold was an amazing man. Big impact on my life, my uncle. Gentle man. And I'm still very close with his kids, my cousins. They're like siblings to me. I just love them so much. And I love that whole side of the family. I was there when not when he died, but I was there when my Aunt Katie died, his wife. And I was helping to treat her because she died at home. And it was one of the things I got to do was become her home health nurse, so I could come by and check on her and make sure things are taken care of for her. But the one big thing is she had COPD just like Grandpa. They were all chain smokers. And she didn't want to be intubated again. They had intubated her previously. She was, don't ever do that again. She wanted a DNR. So I was there when she passed away. Just a wonderful, wonderful woman. And Uncle Harold, he was just a sweet guy. He got a brain tumor when I was in my teens. And they had to go put him under the knife. And they took a tumor out of his brain the size of a softball. It had just mashed his brain to one side. And because of the malformation of the brain, they couldn't just seal him up. There was this giant fucking cavity in his head where the brain had been compressed. And so what they did is they took fat from his ass and injected it into his fucking skull. And so my dad and I started calling him Butthead, Uncle Butthead. What's that? Oh, I hate Jägermeister. I got so drunk on Jaeger one night, and it was so gross. I hate the taste of black licorice, and there's a lot of anise in that fucking drink. And man, ugh. But I got hammered on it one night, and I was so fucked up on Jaeger. This is once again back in my 30s that I hallucinated twice, and I'm like, what the fuck? Because I thought I saw deer. I was in the passenger seat, and I was looking out, and I thought I saw deer run out in front of me. And I jumped, and then there's nothing there. My best friend that was driving was like just laughing. He goes, yep, we can't let Gerry drink Jägermeister. And I'm like, I don't want to drink it. It's so gross. The thing they sent you, is the prologue, which came out on. I see what you're talking about, Bill. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching the whole thing. I'm not a fan of the new Jurassic World films. I think they're kind of stupid. I thought the only two good Jurassic Park films was the original and the third film. I'm not a fan of the second film. Actually, I liked it all the way until they went back to the mainland, because I thought that was a stupid idea, and they should have known it was a stupid idea. But when my grandfather, getting back to that, my grandfather, he got hammered one day, and he got mad at Uncle Harold, started chasing him, and he had I think it was the 22 hunting rifle. And one of the few times you'd see my grandfather grab a gun, he wanted to kill my uncle. They were in an argument, and Uncle Harold stood his ground with Grandpa. And when he's hammered, he's dangerous, and pissed him off. And he grabbed a rifle and chased him around the house. He ran into the screen door, and Aunt Katie was inside and saw what was happening, and she got just jumped between the two of them right when Grandpa aimed through the screen door and shot. And he shot my Aunt Katie, his daughter. And they left. And the decision was made that he was cut off from family. They moved to California, which is where a lot of the family still lives, is Northern California. And it crushed my grandfather when Katie left, because she was his favorite daughter. And it caused a lot of jealousy with Aunt Betty. You know, she was always envious and angry about that. But Katie was just a wonderful person. Aunt Betty was not. She was crass, mean. You know, I loved Aunt Betty, but it was her husband I loved, Uncle Jack. You know, he was World War II veteran, soft-spoken, kind-hearted. But Uncle Harold and Aunt Katie moved to California, and if Grandpa wanted to come out, there was no drinking allowed. But he didn't drink anymore. He would sip beer. He gave up hard liquor. And it took that incident of shooting his own fucking daughter on accident for it to impact him enough to change his life. And it's similar to what happened with my dad, because when we came back from Europe, my dad had flown over to get me, and my dad was so afraid of flying, he had to get drunk. And when we came back, I had to check us in through, I'm a kid. I had to check us both in through immigration and customs, because my dad was hammered. They had to carry him off the plane. And he was so fucking drunk that there was some stuff that had happened, and it was nobody's fault, but he blamed grandmother, especially when he was drunk. And he got on the phone with her and just, we're in the middle of JFK Airport in New York, and nobody's doing anything, man. He's drunk, and people are just walking by like nothing's happening. My dad's drunk and yelling at her on the phone, goes to hang up the phone to leave, and he's so drunk he missed the fucking thing. And I picked it up and went, grandma, and she was still there, and she's crying, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Dad doesn't mean it. He's been drinking. And next thing you know, man, I'm on the ground. He knocked the shit out of me. He didn't even pick up the phone. He just hung it up. And he looked at me and he stepped towards me, and I scrambled backwards. And I ended up going between the rows of chairs that they had there in the luggage carousel area. And again, he stormed towards me, and I got between those chairs, cowering from him. I was terrified of my dad because he was a tough guy. And nobody stopped him. Nobody did a fucking thing. Nobody checked on me. He just finally did that thing and turned around and started to leave. I ran over to the carousel, got our luggage, and started following behind him with all our luggage. He walked all the way to the duty-free bar there at JFK and went in. And I just sat out there in some chairs. There was another row of chairs by some of the big windows. And I sat there, and this man from Nigeria came over. He was wearing one of those long, I don't know what to call them, it had all the beautiful colors on it, and he had one of those hats, it's like a fez hat that's multicolored, and he sat across from me, and we talked all night. And if I were to believe in guardian angels, that's what it felt like this guy was, because he was saying all the right things to me, and he told me what I needed to do when Dad sobered up. Something I'd never done before is confront him and tell him what he did. And I told him everything. When he came out of that bar the next morning, it's like, how the hell did I get in there? Because my dad would black out, or so he said. I've often questioned that. I felt like saying he blacked out or blackout drunk was an easy way for him to do these awful things and then be able to deny them the next day. Okay. All right. I'm going to watch Carter. I've heard it from you and from 3 other people that they liked it. And it's not as bad as I made fun, because I made fun of it because it looks like it stole from a couple other things. Yeah, I agree with you, Martin. And I will be watching Carter. So when I confronted my dad the next morning, that guy just disappeared. He just, I looked away, and then he was just gone. And it was a queer experience, just so weird. And my dad came out, and he sat down with me, and I told him everything he did, from getting on the flight at Heathrow to landing in New York. And I didn't pull any punches. I told him everything he said, what he did to his own mother over the phone, what he did to me when I tried to apologize. And he stopped drinking. He became a dry alcoholic because he had some of the same behaviors. He didn't seek help or anything. My dad was too good for that. He didn't believe in psychiatrists or psychologists. He didn't believe in therapy. He didn't believe in going to AA. So he became a dry alcoholic, and so he had manifested some of the same behaviors, and it was very difficult. We had a rough relationship in my teens. And part of it was because I kind of lost respect for him. And I hated that because I did respect my dad, and there were parts of what my dad did and who he was that I did respect. But as a father, I didn't respect him because I didn't think he's doing the job he should have done. And I criticized him about it. The day I left, the exact words I said, the time I needed you most in my life is the day that you did this, forced me to leave. And when I say forced me to leave is he had dug into my private things. Now, if I was a drug addict or a problem child, I would have understood that, but I wasn't a problem child. I was a good kid. I did what my dad asked me to do. Needed something done, I took care of it. I took care of my dad. And he went into my wallet, found a letter that was stamped to be sent out to a girl, and he read it. He opened it, opened my sealed envelope. And in the letter, I said a couple of critical things of him that were true. And when I saw that he had done that, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm leaving. I don't want to be around somebody who will do that to me. It doesn't trust me enough. And he says, well, you called me this. I said, no, I didn't call you that. I said, you're acting like that. And I think it was dumbass. I think that's what I said. My dad's acting like a dumbass. And it was funny because my dad drove down the street following me when I left, asking me to apologize. And I could come back, and I'm like, no. So I wasn't really kicked out. He kicked me out, but he wanted me to come home because I'm a good son, and he needed my help. And I just said, you can get help from somebody else if you're going to do that stuff. I'm not going to live with someone that's going to go through my private thoughts like that. That was me talking with somebody. Oh, good morning, Decepticon's Cave of Villains, sir. Greetings. I'm doing the classic Gerry talking about the past telling stories. I haven't even gotten into the episodes yet because I was kind of hoping that I would have a little company this morning, but nobody's joined me or asked to join. And I would love to have some company on the show. I enjoy that, especially when I'm talking about shows that I've watched. What is his? Marcus. I love Marcus's tweets, man. I just reshared it. Tangent time. It's not tangents. It's story time. I'm assuming he's still asleep too. Fuck Dark Knight. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hate being around noise. I like it quiet. I like it peaceful. Oh, if it's noisy on your side, you can't do it. I can't have that. I still haven't watched Prey yet. I'm probably going to watch that in the next day or two. Anima could join me. Anima, from what I understand, actually finished watching the Orville. So I could send her an invite. Let me send her an invite. See if she'll join me. Invite. Copy. Let me go find Anima. There she is. I'm sending it from my Pop Culture My Field account because that's the one that's open with the show. Because I never know if you guys are going to message me privately, and I like to keep an eye out. Because I know now Bill sends it to my personal account, but it's probably better if you send it to my PCM account because especially during the week, it's the one I spend the most time on. Although Anima has changed that with my personal account. Yeah, Penny, where's Dark Knight? Keith's not here either. He hasn't messaged me this morning at all. I figure, because he works all night. He's thinking a lumberjack. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I work all night and sleep all day. FYI, the director of Prey stated that they will be doing a definitive version of the film in the native tongue. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it felt more like season 2. And on top of that, it didn't feel like a finale. It felt like a farewell. episode. I mean, farewell episode is a finale. It's a season finale, but that felt like that's what that was, that little bonus episode for us to say goodbye to you. And that's what bugs me about that episode. Martin saw the episode on Saturday, and that started a playlist of 14 movies encompassing the whole Predator, Alien, Blade Runner, Soldier universe. Yeah, they all have a little DNA. They all share a little DNA. I'm assuming Cece's already up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but I sent an invitation to Enema if she wants to join me, because I am going to talk about the show. I enjoyed there she is. Good morning.
Thanks for telling me which account you sent me the link from, because I don't get notifications for messages from that one.
When you told me that the last time, that's why I did it. It's the weird thing about me. I actually listen to people.
Surprise.
And but anyway, look, Domino was a better episode. There's no question about it. I felt the whole thing about that final episode was it's sort of a lot of love to the fans rather than telling a good story. I thought some of the ideas behind it, like in most cultures outside of like when you look at the Viking culture in particular,
Code Raven, behave.
Code Raven. Time to cancel the channel. Yeah, she. If they make a movie about us, she will be cast as a black woman.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what they do now. They cancel gingers and cast black people in their parts, because gingers shouldn't exist in the world according to Hollywood. But yes, you look beautiful today.
I'm so tired. Now you get sleepy.
I know.
Finally.
I know you're tired.
I didn't sleep. I got up at 7 and went to work.
I was hoping, the last thing I said to you was, I hope you get a cat nap. Just take that little cat nap, 20-minute nap. I feel so good.
No, I passed out after work for like an hour and a half. And I woke up covered in cats because they know I always get cold when I sleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, the way it sounds, because I don't remember the actor's name that plays Bortus, but he said that he and Seth were hanging out together eating, and I think that he was grilling or some shit like that. And he came in with drinks, and Seth walked into the room with drinks in his hand towards him going, season 4. But he didn't know if that was really a confirmation. I think it's a confirmation to either season 4 or movies. And Disney wants it. Disney saw those numbers over on Hulu, and I think they want those numbers over on Disney Plus.
My bet is on movies. I don't think
I'm putting. I think it'll become like Columbo, when Columbo just started. It continued, but it was in movie format. They were just longer episodes, and it would be like once, maybe twice a year, you would get a movie.
I mean, with the length, they're already there. I mean, the episodes are more than an hour long.
Yeah. So
which I really loved.
I did like that.
Yeah.
So, it's either do the same thing, less episodes, but longer episodes. But Seth needs to step back from being the lead writer and on this, because he's a weak writer when it comes to logic stuff in his stories. And you really need to ask questions before you fucking shoot stuff, because there's a lot of logic issues and things that he was doing. The whole thing with Bortus being a homosexual society where the males mate and they actually bear offspring doing that. but they kind of fumbled the ball. Seth did, trying to make, moral points, which is what Star Trek was always about, making moral points. But the moral points are just sort of like, huh?
They're forced.
That chase scene, that would make sense in a different kind of culture. But what they were doing between a male and a male, because once you introduce the fact that there are females, why are there females? Why are females? If it's a genetic mutation, it really, a lot of it, there's no logic behind it. There really isn't. There's problems with their theories, and
they just invented that to make us cringe. Like that opening scene.
Seth created those things, and I know I already can see Jon Favreau advising him, you have to be ambiguous with it. Don't get too heavy-handed. And this is the thing that Jon Favreau is really good about when it comes to controversial issues. He advises people, and when he does it himself, he does it in a way that shows both perspectives so as not to do that. But I think they fucked up in the show by getting heavy-handed with it through Seth's writing. And Seth is absolutely a lefty. He seemed to be kind of a centrist at times because he was friends with Rush Limbaugh, But when Trump got elected, he went completely left. And so therefore, you can spot it in his writing. And because we had an abortion issue this season, we had a homosexual issue.
I still have to catch up on it.
Slash feminist issue. They mixed it. And in the process, turned the males into bad guys because of it. And once again, this is where they got heavy-handed in a way that Star Trek wouldn't have done it. They would have shown the frustration on the part of the Federation of dealing with a single-sex culture, because we dealt with that on Star Trek. You remember that Riker fell in love with that girl that was androgynous. And it was a great fucking episode. And androgyny was really the thing that was going on. They were literally gender fluid, and that was the thing. They didn't want gender; they wanted that androgyny as a culture, and that was a fascinating episode. If you ever go back and watch it, it's one of my favorites with Riker, because it was a Riker-centric story.
I should.
He falls in love with this androgynous alien, falls in love with her madly. Really in love. And I was like, wow. And he showed some serious acting chops, because I used to make fun of his acting on the show. He was really good playing a big, tough guy. But when he would break down and play a character and really get into his character, he did a good job. I love the show.
Yeah, I think I'll go and watch TNG. It would be logic, too, after all the TOS have done now. To just continue.
And you were the first one, because when I said that I thought it was fun, I enjoyed it. You were like, what? And I'm like, I said, yeah, you're misunderstanding me saying it was fun and enjoyable and good. I didn't say it was good. My problem is, and I started laying it out for you in our private chat, my problem with that episode. And then you were like, yes. And you were like in agreement with me because that's what you felt. But the fact is, I can still enjoy stupid stuff. I really can.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time. It was disappointing as a finale.
Yeah, because like some of the episodes of the show, from some in season 1, season 2, and season 3, were as good as Next Generation, but a lot of them weren't. It's and that last one was more. It really did put tongue right in its cheek, for humor. If you know that phrase, plant your tongue in your cheek. Oh, and I remember the info about an Airwolf movie and that it would be a drone and not a helicopter. That just sounds fucking stupid. It's just, Bill, yeah. I hope that does not happen. Was there ever a Riker story where he kept... he was worse than Kirk. He really was. Yeah. People go, there are only 19 episodes where he kisses somebody. And sometimes it was really romantically, with real feeling. It wasn't just him being a player, Kirk didn't kiss that fucking often. Riker, on the other hand.
Kirk just got shirtless.
He was just like, you could see it in his eye. He would look at the girl and he would go, he'd get that look on his face. And you're like, oh, yeah, Riker's going for it.
And with Kirk, man, second episode, he's already topless.
Oh, yeah, we were correct. See, Cece just advised us that Danny is sleeping. He's getting his little boy sleep so he can grow up.
He probably wouldn't want to come out when I'm here anyway.
Also, remember that $6 billion man. Yeah, I really was disappointed that we didn't get a reboot on that, but I did not want Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is completely fucking wrong. But Mark Wahlberg stepped up, and I was like, now I could get behind that, because even though I don't think that Mark is as good an actor as his brother, Donnie's a fucking actor right there. Mark, on the other hand, is just Mark Wahlberg. That's why the movie The Happening by M. Night Shyamalan is so fucking bad, because he doesn't know how to act.
Does
but
Jim Carrey?
When he can play himself. What's that? Jim Carrey is an overactor.
He always overacts. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like his movies, really.
Yeah, it has to be in comedy format for him to work, because Over the Top works with comedy, but he's just, I don't think he's a very good actor.
No.
He's getting that handsome sleep. He's letting he's letting his mustache grow.
That's why his hair's growing so fast, because he's sleeping all the time.
Yeah, he sent me the photo, by the way, of the car, the two of you in the new car. So, did you like the car? He seems to. He looked like he was over the fucking moon with it.
I'll never get that. Cars. Not really.
Some people did, but it tanked. It was an absolute flop. But there are a lot of people who really enjoyed it. I did not. I thought the premise was interesting, but the way that he did it was illogical. Nature doesn't work that way. I mean, because in nature you have things like the telegraph vine. That is a tree that communicates with other trees. It really does communicate. Grass does communicate. I forget the name of it.
That again.
That smell when you're mowing the lawn, that wonderful, is caused by grass in absolute panic about being cut, and it's sending out these chemicals as a warning. But what's the other grass going to do? Run? It's like,
stop dissing vegetarians here. Plants
fucking feel shit.
Shut up, Gerry.
They have their own central nervous system.
Jesus.
Largest organism on Earth is a fungus. Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Isn't there a tree, like a forest, that's just one tree? That's fucking huge.
Well, that's the thing is that was discussed, is that trees are interconnected through rooting system and stuff like that, and that they are aware of each other. And it freaks me out a little bit about trees. A friend of mine, a science fiction writer, real science fiction writer, he's been on the show, Steve Johnson, Stephen G. Johnson. And he wrote this story back in the 80s when we were young, and he about how trees move very slowly. It takes thousands of years for them to get to where they're trying to get to, and they do communicate. And I thought that was so freaky. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this story. I don't like where it's going. It's not scary. It's science fiction. I don't like it.
I mean, the trees in Lord of the Rings are kind of cool, though.
And part of it is the way what you're talking about, like the telegraph vine. That's how they communicate with each other, is through the Vine network. It's really weird. Ace Ventura, the first one was good. Second one was just a piece of shit. I hated that fucking movie. And yet, it had one of the single funniest moments in cinema history for me. I laughed so hard I passed out.
What?
I couldn't get air. I blacked out. and I fell off the sofa trying to breathe. And
I
it was
didn't know that was possible.
It's happened to me twice, and both times it was Jim Carrey. Both times. The first time I was sitting there watching the movie Ace Ventura, something wild, whatever that was, the second movie, and he's in the back of that, or he's inside that robotic animatronic fucking rhino out in the middle of the savannah, and his fan kicks off, it dies, and he starts overheating, and he's got to get out, and he's taking all his clothes off, and then finally he starts shoving the only thing he can find is right where the butthole would be. He starts stretching, he goes out, and I lost my fucking mind. I started laughing, and I fell off the sofa, and I blacked out. I couldn't get air. My veins were distended. Tracy, Zoe's mother, was there. My cousin and my gay roommate were all there, and Travis, and they all were afraid I was going to die. And I'm like, oh my God, this is how I'm going to go out. Fucking heart attack, laughing so hard. It's just like, oh my God.
Killed by Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And then the movie Me, Myself, and Irene is an absolute favorite film of mine. And there's a joke in the film that only guys get. Women don't understand this joke. And it's the first time the joke was ever made on screen. And it's when he goes into the bathroom to pee. And all of a sudden, pee starts going everywhere. And he's trying to cover it, block it. And that's what I lost my mind laughing. Because what he did physically, the physical comedy he did in that moment, I lost my shit, started laughing again, and blacked out. But I was still conscious, but I blacked out. And I'm like, oh my God. And I had to turn away from the screen so I could fucking stop laughing. And oh my God. And it was that way, I think 5 or 6 times watching that film, that would do that to me. And I got to a point where I chuckle, but he yells to her, I forget her, Irene, you hear him in the distance. Why am I peeing like I just had sex?
What?
Again, you don't understand it, but guys do. We fucking understand that gag, because when guys have sex and they don't bathe immediately, they get all that juicy mix on the end of their dick. It will become very crystallized, like a glaze on a donut. And it will be like that, a webbing across the opening of the
How
penis.
did we get to topics like that?
You asked.
Without even Danny on the show.
You asked, and so I'm telling you.
Blame it on me.
And I'm explaining it, because what ends up happening is when you go to pee, after you've done that and it crystallizes, it becomes like a sprinkler system. And you start spraying piss everywhere. So you learn to,
Martin, we need an intervention here. Oh, by the way, as a guy, how did that opening scene make you feel like? I mean, those sack things, they look so uncomfortable.
Oh, when they're
imagine
on the
running
Orville?
with that. Yeah, imagine running with that.
It was a thong on top of that. It looked very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's funny that I did laugh at that scene, but it just was so cringy at the same time. It was just him doing what he does, Seth MacFarlane, pushing an envelope. But I did laugh because once they butt their heads together, and then the music stops, and
that's when I started laughing, because then I realized.
And I sat there going,
I didn't know at first.
I'm like, why is this going on? And then the camera turns and you see them watching, and they're feeling awkward too. And it's like, oh my God, I laughed at that. Oh, yeah. And then he pushes it. It's sort of like the joke of Peter Griffin when he falls and skins his knee. And he just lays there for like a whole minute and a half, just going, and it was, or the frog trying to lift the frog like with the cardboard box. I laughed so fucking hard at that. And then fucking Gordon just looks around.
Finally starts clapping, yeah.
And goes, And then it still keeps going, and they're like, oh,
They're not breaking up.
And the great moment is when one of them says something akin to, should we leave?
Yeah, maybe that's how they have sex. I mean, who knows? Or do we
I don't know, man. It's just so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Beer was another funny Jim Carrey. I laughed in that movie, but it didn't have that same impact on me as those two scenes. And there was also another first with Me, Myself, and Irene. Nobody in the history of Hollywood had ever made a joke on screen calling somebody their little pussy fart. And it's a queef, you know, and I laughed because I'm like, oh my God, nobody's ever made that joke before.
Because
I
it's
am not either.
funny.
John, you've heard me talk shit about him. You've heard me. I think he's a fucking asshole. I think he's crazy. I think he's mentally ill. I really, really do.
Separate the artist from his work.
Yeah, and that's what I do.
Are assholes, and I still like what that.
I do. So. I separate it because I enjoy a lot of his comedy. I don't think he's a very good actor. His serious roles I didn't think were very good, except for the one time when he played Andy Kaufman, because I thought he did a good job. But then I found out he acted like a complete cunt behind the scenes to everybody, staying in character. And I'm like, you stayed in a version of Andy Kaufman, not the real Andy Kaufman. And a lot of people who knew Andy said that about his behavior, said that it showed that he didn't understand Andy Kaufman the way he acted towards people. Yeah, Cece gets it. Funny? Yeah.
I don't think it's funny.
He calls her his little pussy fart. And I fucking went into hysterics over that. I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Not my kind of humor.
Well, you know, you're German. You guys don't.
I'm not German. Stop insulting me. I'm
Austrian is like Northern German.
Excuse me, do you have geography? Austria is south of Germany.
They're Southern German.
Yeah. Well, you keep putting me in Northern Europe, and I'm in Croatia, which is very much in the south. So you don't know geography.
Truman Show was okay. I felt it was derivative of too many other things. Twilight Zone
That's
material.
the only one I liked.
The one that I liked with him was Man on the Moon. I was a big Andy Kaufman fan.
I don't think I saw that.
I cried at the end of that movie because I knew where it was. If you knew who Kaufman was, you knew where the end was going. He was going to fucking die of cancer.
Yes, Bill Arnold is Austrian.
Hey, now, don't be insulting Germans. Well, I told her what I said to some Germans one morning at breakfast in France because they were talking too loudly. I asked them if they knew Hitler. In German.
Don't go there.
I won't do it again. So they are just words that people invented because they had nothing else. Well, you know, there is, you know, it's an apt description of what it is, a queef. A queef, you say queef, and
back
a lot
on
of people, I'm responding to the chat. I always talk with the chat.
I know.
And that was created, that's an actual technical term of what it is, a queef. The problem is the average person doesn't know what that fucking is. So then you say pussy fart, and everybody they laugh, but it's descriptive of what it is. It's air escaping the vagina, making a sound. And South Park did an entire episode about it. And it was very interesting because what they were actually talking about is gender norms. And they did it by using fucking queefs.
Oh my God, it's raining.
Oh.
It's raining in August. That's fantastic. Sorry,
at the same time, if it's hot,
by the noise.
If it's hot, though, you'll get humidity.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is hot.
Yeah, so now you're going to enjoy the humidity because now it goes from like, I'm assuming, because
100.
you are is it still part of the Mediterranean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mediterranean.
So.
You face the Mediterranean there. And the fact is you're already got an amount of humidity because of the ocean. And
No,
So
it's
it's
not
gonna.
that bad. Summer's
Really?
very dry, actually. Yeah, summer's very dry.
That's odd.
35% or so.
Wow, that is really low. Like here in Missouri, you walk out of the house into the heat, it just starts sucking the life out of you because it's so fucking muggy. We get like 81 to 90% humidity here in Missouri.
It's 38 today.
Wow,
That's
that is
weird.
low. And you're an ocean port. Wow.
Well, not
And I
ocean,
love the
sea.
photos you sent me of the narrow streets and the little carts. I was telling
Yeah, well-
Zoe about that last night when she called me, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds awesome." I went, "Yeah, doesn't it?" It's
Well, I mean,
hot here.
that goes way back. The palace was built 300 AD. So
Now, if you were wondering what is it with Bill Barkley, there's your answer. Read the comment. That explains why Bill is the way he is.
because he's a Scot.
He's a Scot.
You think that's an explanation? Well,
I'm friends with a lot of Scots, and I've got
Me too.
a lot of Scottish blood. I'm 88% Celt, a perfect mix of Welsh, Irish, and Scottish, and I'm proud of the Scots. You know, I love the Scottish bloodline. The Welsh, I'm not a fan of the Welsh. I mean, they're lovely people.
different.
They're lovely people, but they're a paranoid group of people. And I told you what happened to me when I was there in Wales.
Yeah.
Like I would go into a pub and I just kind of wanted to be around English speaking people. And the minute they found out that I was American, they began to speak Welsh, which is their version of Gaelic. It's very similar, but a lot.
It sounds way more fucked up than Gaelic, in my opinion.
Oh, I'll tell you my favorite German joke, Das Wolfen. Are you ready? I'm 88% Celtic, 12% adopted Celtic. And somewhere in there, one German fucked his way into my family and I got stuck with his goddamn name. That's my German joke.
You and your name.
My film director buddy, Josh Becker, who Danny's designing and doing the new website for. I told him, because he was like talking about doing it for free. And I'm like, don't you fucking do that for free. Don't you do that for free. You make money off of this. I do stuff for free because Josh has done a lot for me in my life, given me a lot. So I don't mind being his webmaster for free because we're close friends and he doesn't put a lot of demands on me. But the minute he puts demands on me, I'm like, you need to pay me some money because that's going to be some time. But you know, with Josh, he calls me Herr Kissel. He'll answer the phone,
like
hello. And I love his voice. He goes, hello. And I get Josh, and he goes, Herr Kissel. No, you know, Cece, I get on Danny about that shit. I really do. I love Danny. I want him back where he used to be. I want him being successful again and feeling good about himself because he's a very sharp dude, man. And you know, I fucking love Danny. Danny's a good dude, man. I think he's misunderstood by a lot of people. Because, yes, CC, you know this. He can be very annoying at times. And he definitely pushes buttons with me. And I'm just sitting there just laughing, going, oh, my God, dude. If you were sitting next to me, I wouldn't hit him. But I would push him out of his chair. I would just physically, because I'm a bear, I would just fucking push him out of his chair. And he'd be laughing about it. I've always wondered where Kissel comes from. Well, the original spelling is G-E-I or G-I-E-S-S-E-L-L or L, a single L. The French side of the Alsace-Lorraine is the Geisel, like Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, which I'm distantly related to him. And then on the German side, it's Keisel. And when they came to the U.S. through immigration, those motherfuckers didn't know how to spell a German name. They'd say name, you know, and they would go Keisel, and they would phonetically try to figure a way of spelling it. So that's why you've got two American families. We're all related. The northern eastern coast is K-I-S-S-E-L, which is a famous murder case out of New York of the Keisel brothers or Kissel brothers. and then get down to Pennsylvania, all the way down. It's Cassell because it has 2 L's, and that's how my family divided. But I have a rare name in this country. You don't find very many people with my name. It's a very uncommon name. Oh, Pornbot. Oh. They heard me talking about.
I thought I could kill my first one. Martin was faster, or somebody else.
Oh yeah, he beat me to it. No, the thing that sucks is if I get rid of it, it disappears in the chat. For some reason, when somebody else does, I still have to look at these fucking things. I hope he just. I like having him on.
Yeah.
Yes, it was really Shabbat. I talked about.
I
said pussy fart. I said pussy fart, and look what happened.
I was really hoping he would be on today because yesterday he just like disappeared after we were done, and I like talking with him. So. Yeah,
he's a lot of fun.
I don't know if he's still talking with me, but we'll see.
Oh, because you kicked his ass in trivia.
I did it gently though.
And I wanted to talk about this show, Black.
Yeah, has the Marshal showed up yet? Usually that's linked together. Him and the bots.
All right. I am going to play this trailer for you guys. And share screen. Audio. I'm hoping I don't get ganked for this, but I will delete it later if they do.
I never wanted this for you. I wanted a totally different life. A steady paycheck, kids, a family. Dad, tell me there's a way out of this.
And just so you know, this is a true story, and they really did an amazing job of sticking to the facts in this show. And this is the show that impressed upon me this kid could play Wolverine easily, a young Wolverine. And he is in the running for playing him.
Not a quick one.
This is also Ray Liotta's final TV role.
I would like you to transfer to another prison and befriend someone to elicit a confession.
And the prison is right here in Springfield, Missouri.
Really?
That medical prison, yes. It took place right here in Springfield. This in almost the entire story, save for the crimes themselves and the first prison scenes. The prison that he goes into to befriend the serial killer, real serial killer, is right here in Springfield, Missouri. We had some really nefarious criminals here in Springfield.
Wow. Hi, Monkey, by the way.
Oh, both monkeys are here. Hi, Monkey Cubans.
Yes.
But we only one of the bodies.
There he is. He even looks like the serial
Larry
killer.
has vivid dreams.
Tell me about him.
In my dreams, I kill women. Those are just dreams.
In this prison, where the guys?
He used the dreams and could describe the killings, but they were just dreams. He would confess, retract the confession, and say, "No, I didn't do that. That was just a dream I had."
That guy looks so scary.
Oh, he's creepy as fuck when you watch
Yeah.
the show. And he's got this high pitched voice when he talks.
Oh,
fucking creepy as shit.
Maximum security specializing in the criminally insane.
You want me to check into hell and befriend the demon? Not for all the money in the world.
How about freedom? Paul's conviction's on appeal.
Now, the reason why they have to say inspired by is because they do take dramatic license. But the fact is, every single clue, every single killing, and a lot of what actually happens came from the memoir of this guy and how the impact it had on him, befriending a horrifying fucking psycho killer and having to act like he cared about him.
He could win and walk. You had the chance to stop him. Don't approach him too early or he'll know we sent you for him.
Why are you looking at me like that? Like you know me.
If it gets out that you're here to snitch, that's going to be a very unfortunate day.
Accelerate your timetable. If he walks, he'll kill. Again and again.
Do you think you could be in danger?
God,
You are in danger.
It is a must-see television series.
No, not for me. I can't watch
It's
stuff like
good.
that.
Well, I like true crime and I like riveting dramas where, and they had to create a little bit more tension for the series. The story with the guard did not happen as dramatically as what they show in the series, but the shit going on with his dad, because his dad kept having strokes, and there's Ray Liotta right before he died playing this character that's doomed to die, and I got really emotional watching the last 2 episodes. But it's a tremendously well-written series. It's dark as fuck.
It's creepy as fuck. I mean, I love true crime and stuff, but my nights are already sleepless. I'm not going to watch that.
It's because I'm on shit internet, Bill. I'm on shit internet for upload. Download, it's really great. This thing downloads great, but the upload is bad. And I think it's because it's an old modem. And I'm waiting for my phone to show up because I'm probably going to start using data on my phone just for broadcasts.
Did you do that yesterday?
No, it didn't show
because
up.
in the end, it looked great.
No, that was still Wi-Fi. That was Wi-Fi.
Okay.
It was still having trouble with it. That's why I'm like, I may as well just be on the computer because it seemed to handle it better. Yes, the tiny voice guy is the serial killer, and when you hear actual recordings of him talking to the police, he talks just like that, and it's creepy as fuck. It kind of reminds me of Herbert the Pervert on Family Guy. Hey there, Mr. Mostly Muscle Arms. How you doing? Missing my paper boy. Call me. Call me, you pugly little son of a bitch.
I mean, it totally works, but it freaks me out.
Yeah. My roommate
and
one of my best friends, Mac, would come up behind me and do that voice behind me, and I'd go, "Stop it, dude! Like, don't do that shit. It'll freak me out." Yeah, how you doing, Pudgy? You look good. I'm like, oh god,
it's giving me
it's fucking creepy. He would do that shit. He would do that shit to me because he knew that it gave me the heebie-jeebies when he did it.
Absolutely.
I don't do that one. I do November. Because I'll shave on October 31st and then won't touch it and grow a beard by the end of November.
How big does it get?
Mine doesn't, because, I really believe it's from the Irish, not that 1% Chippewa Indian. I think that my Irish side of the family just weren't facial hair growers. And, but it's gray as fuck. And it's on the camera. It's hard to see that I have a beard. I actually have the beginnings of one right now. I haven't shaved in 2 days.
Why is it that a beard grows gray before the head hair does? That's always fascinating.
It's my daughter. My daughter stressed me out so much that I went gray.
No, it's with like all the men I know. Beard always goes first.
Well, actually, this went first. You've seen my patch of gray. It's a streak of gray. And that was first. That started actually when I was in my 40s, after Zoe was born. And she stressed me out so much raising her that I started getting it was like a form of, what is that skin thing that itches and gets red and flaky? eczema, not eczema.
Ah.
The condition. It's the condition. And I started developing it right here. And it was just stress. It was stress related. And so I got it under control eventually. I use, I love T-gel. If anybody's ever tried T-gel, I love the smell of T-gel. I like those medicated shampoos, man. I love that strong, organic smell. Just
I hate it
stuff.
when the smell is
psoriasis. Thank you. Thank you, Monkey Jeebus. That was what I had. I had a patch of psoriasis on my cap, and right where the gray hair came out. And so I know that it was stress that was causing me to go gray. I had a girl once tell me that I look too boyish when I'm shaved, and she said, I can't kiss you. And she could not kiss me when I had inadvertently shaved my mustache one day. I was trimming and I went too far and I went, God damn it. And I just went, And she was like, you look so different. You look really too young. I don't like it. Yeah, all the power. Tell down. I'd like to actually watch him shave on camera again. We actually showed her shaving previously, but the last one she shaved on another channel. I'd like to do it on ours again. I enjoy watching him suffer. Again,
it grows so fast, though.
But it's also sexy when she does it. It's really cute.
We were both on the panel on your show, and a couple of days later, he sends me a picture, and I'm like, were you this hairy last time I saw you? It grows so fast. It's crazy. Also, his head.
I did shave my head once, Bill. Actually, Zoe did. I sat back in a chair and put, a towel over me, and she went to town. Shaved my head. So you gave
consent. I was worried there for a moment.
Yeah, I said, go ahead, baby. I said, do it. And she's like, oh, she was all excited. Oh my God. And she shaved. They took a photo. It's on my Facebook page somewhere. I think it's on my other Gerry account, which I'm probably going to go back to.
Too many accounts on too many socials.
Well, what happened was clients had too much access to me.
Okay.
And I got pissed. I'm like, stop fucking bugging me. I've got a lot going on. You're not my only client, and if I get delays because of that, accept it, because I'm charging you a third of what I charge publishers. You need to work with me on some of this stuff. But one of them pissed me off so much that he took so long when I was drawing some comic pages for him. He took so long for one page, a fucking splash page. It took us 3 weeks. Oh, and wow. I told him at the end of those 3 weeks, I have to start a new project. And then he got really fucking pushy with me. And I fucking blocked him. I had to block him off the YouTube channel. He tried bugging me on the show. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I told you, don't waste my fucking time. And he did. He wasted my time. And what pisses me off is I only charge a third of what I normally charge for comic books. And I tell people you get one edit with that. One edit. He pushed it way past that. And I got so frustrated when I told him I was getting frustrated. And I'm like, if you don't like the way I'm drawing it, then draw it your goddamn self. Actual quote. I said that to him. And so what he did is he actually went and he drew a shitty version of it. And I looked at it and went, okay, I see what you fucking want. And I went and I drew it. And he was happy with it. It took 3 fucking weeks to get to that. And I got so angry. Now, Mark May knows, because I've yelled at Mark May. But I love him. He's a great guy. And I've worked for him. But I usually do coloring for him. And he kept like changing how he wanted to color it. Like, I'm like, but I see the color you're wanting, and that's the one I'm using. He goes, it's just not right. So we did this trial and error thing, and I put a lot of time into that comic with him. But in the end, it's a really beautiful comic. If you've never seen it, and I like Mark so much. I do really. I love him. It's because of him I became friends with Sarah Frazetta, Frank Frazetta's granddaughter.
Okay.
because she worked on the cover of one of the comics I worked on. And but let me see if I can open some artwork here. I could probably go and open some of the pages from this comic.
Not into comics, but I do enjoy good drawings.
Now, well, my buddy Richard Bonk was the artist, and Richard and I've worked together a lot. He's a Marvel DC artist. We're close friends, like stayed together, like in a house together, like hanging out, going to places, dinner and shit like that. That's the kind of friends that Richard Bonk and I are. And let me see if I can find this one. Okay, here's one in particular. Let me open this. Oh, it opened up in Photoshop, so I'm gonna have to fucking do something here. One. Well, I use there here. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. Like I go through this thing with Photoshop where I use these things: share screen, share screen, share screen, share screen. Here you go. Come on, you can open. There you go. See all those blue lines?
Yeah.
Those are guides. I use them for comic books because I make my own templates. So I got to go view, show guides, and turn that off. And then you get close up and you see my coloring on his artwork.
I love that dragon.
It's actually a dinosaur.
That's
and
a dinosaur?
Yeah, it's a small T-Rex is what it is.
Yeah, I see now. You say that. Yeah.
And this is the villain. And you know what was the thing that led to some of our arguments was the color of his fucking eyes was frustrating, and the color of his skin, which this skin is different than what you hear because this is actually not his skin. That's some of the material on his skin. So the color of his skin here is different from this. And the color, I finally worked out the color on the armor because I felt it should be a deep burgundy color. But because I'm really good at figuring good color combinations. And we argued over the colors of the dinosaurs and shit like that. And what you're not seeing here is that this shadow is another dinosaur.
I figured because it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit that.
And I really like doing hair. It's one of my favorite things. I like doing face and boobs. Boobs, I love. And I do something that only another artist catches what I'm doing because you'll see smooth, and jiggly. Seriously. It's something that's subconsciously caught by men in particular. Boobs. If you do that with that, it gives them the sensation when looking at the image that they're jiggly boobs. It's something I learned when I learned to color comic books.
It's weird that you like drawing hair. I know a lot of people who draw and they all hate hair. They say it's the most difficult thing.
It depends. That's not my artwork there. That's my buddy Rich's artwork. But
you said you
let me see if I can't show you some of this stuff because I'm under NDAs. This is actually a comic right here that is it in this one? Pages. I wrote this comic book and Richard Bonk drew it. And no, it's not in that folder then. Okay, let me look in here. See if it's in here. Here you can see some of the artwork. I'll open some of these. I'll open some of these pages so you can see the art. These are some of the pages. I was inker on this too. I inked and I was starting to do the coloring and then I hired somebody else to do it.
I didn't know those were different jobs. I really had no idea.
This is a page of his pencils that I inked.
That is so cool.
And here's another page. I wrote all these scenes to look a specific way, and he nailed it. Raising the bucket, and the bucket ends up being a major clue of what happened to these people because they all end up dead. This is some of his pencil work. He's a beautiful artist, man. I love working with Richard.
I admire people who can draw.
And here's another page of the artwork. I'm doing the Black Hawk. What do you call it? It's invisible radar coming into the science facility. And then this is my nod right here to Predator. Cigar goes flying out instead of him walking out with the cigar. And then he comes walking out, lighting a new cigar. The jungle behind him and the helicopter. And we actually cast real people in this book. If you guys know Black Rifle Coffee Company, you'll know that face. They all agreed for me to use their likenesses in the comic book. But in the end, I decided we're going to change that because I don't want anybody else's name being on it. And this, by the way, is from yesterday. A friend of mine, Kitty Flips, she's a PR person for a comedy magazine. She posted this image. This says, "My first ever braided cheese Danish, fun and delicious." And I looked at it and immediately wrote, "Ribbed for her pleasure."
Kingspot, he's not aggressive. He's just loud when he wants.
Because that looks like a penis and a penis head, and it looks like it's ribbed.
Dude, if a penis looks like that, take it to the doctor. Like,
yeah. But I wrote that on her thing. She cracked up laughing. She's like, "Gerry, you're awful." And I'm like, "I know.
Yeah, you are."
I have fucked up mind. I wish I could. Is it under this one? This might be it here. Because there are some really. This is the cover that he and I did together. And I'm trying to see if I can find the front. Here is the front and back covers. I did the pencils on the back page and inks, and he did the pencils and I did the inks to the front cover on this one. And this is the back cover, which is wholly drawn by me. And that is my comic studio name that I wanted to publish it under. Danger Close Comics or Studios.
That's a cool name.
It's a military thing that means danger close. It means shit's happening right here, right now.
Yeah, you're flirting with me. Stop that.
And then I did this one of them in Afghanistan and or Iraq. It's hard to tell where it is. E.T. Go Home, and it's the team that's hunting these fucking alien things, artifacts that are causing mutations. And you know, there's an M4 with the selector switch on semi. And here's the cover, man. He penciled this and I inked it and colored it. And this is one of the scariest scenes in the book, is a battle with mutated mandrills. Mandrills are the single most horrifying animal I have ever fucking seen. And I've seen them up close. They fucking freak me out.
That's a good question, Bill. I was wondering that.
What's that?
Have you ever done a self-portrait?
Yeah, I'm in the book.
You're in the book?
File. Yeah, I've done a lot of self-portraits, man. But I am in the book. Let me go look, see if I can find it. It's the helicopter scene. There it is. This is Mac and me flying the helicopter right here. My buddy
That's cool.
Mac and me on the right.
Nice.
And you see some porpoises, dolphins, killer whales swimming. Don't know what they are. And that's another movie actor buddy of mine right there. Zach.
Is it me or is your audio going weird?
It could be me.
Sounds breaking up.
Yeah, it's probably me. But this is Zach Ward right here. People know him as the red-headed bully in the movie A Christmas Story. He played the bully, and we're friends with each other. He's been in other stuff.
Absolutely roboting Martin. That sounds awful.
I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I know.
But that's some of the comic book that will get released here this year.
Oh, now it's
the
better.
first half of the book will be released, and when you buy the book, you will be paying for the second half to be drawn because Richard needs to finish it. And I don't want to do a campaign, crowdfunding campaign. I want people to pay to have the second chapter finished. It's fully written, and the battle is the only thing that's not drawn in the final scene. The first 22 pages are drawn, and it's a great fucking book. I'm a very good writer. I'm not a great writer, but I'm very good. And I know how to write horror, and I know how to write combat, and I know how to write soldiers. And that's why I got hired by the #1 military entertainment company in the world, which is Warriors Incorporated.
Yeah,
Warriors Incorporated hired me. I'm their only artist, and because Dale Dye. No, look at us. We're all close now. Look at this. Hey, how's your wrist today?
It's better. Getting there slowly, very slowly.
Well, I'm good. I'm glad. I'm going to look see if there's any other art I can share. File open. Because I really like it when Bonk and I work together. We just have such a good rapport with one another. I love doing portraits, by the way.
Really?
It's one of my favorite things to do. I think, is this one of my portraits I did? I think this is one of them right here. It's only looking for, hold on. Yep, that's a portrait. Polly, drummers, don't dance. Got a lot of film work. Yeah, I cannot find it. I thought for sure it was in there. Maybe it's in. I got to look over here on what is that? OneDrive folder. See if it's in there. Otherwise, I've stored it someplace ridiculous. And what I'm trying to do now is be less about using photo references and doing more just straight comic book art, because I tend to focus too much on the realism, and because I'm good at it. But the fact is I like going in there and drawing how I draw for comic books, and I think it looks good. I enjoy doing it. Goodness gracious! But I do have a self-portrait. I'll find it for you real quick. It's on my profile for a lot of stuff.
Okay. I never find stuff on my computer, by the way.
Let me just type in my name, Gerry. It might be under another folder. Let me look under this one. Oh, wait, this is probably where I should have looked in the first place. Yep, there it is. There we go. And what I'll do with this one is I'll just show the folder, share folder. And then just tap on the artwork. This was the entire first issue that I colored with Richard Bonk's artwork. Can you see the art okay?
Yeah.
Sadly, that's as big as it's going to get. Very dynamic. And you notice I put a mist in the air, humidity. To show, and it's a way of showing distance when you're coloring.
Okay.
A lot of action in it. I love Richard Bonk's panels, the way he does them. Again, I put a mist over so the inks seem like there's a grayness to them.
How do you do that technically?
It's through filters, mats. I create mats. It's just really beautiful stuff. I like sexy women in comics, and so this was a lot of fun.
Surprise!
You just, this was a cool scene. This is sort of like Satan being sent to Earth kind of thing, but it's more sci-fi. And there's that creature you see the shadow of on the cover. It's not a regular dinosaur. It's some sort of creature, and these are angels, creating them.
It's like you took an Allosaurus and made him even more freaky.
That was a lot of fun coloring this one, putting the stripes on it and shit. There's a 2-page spread. And this is another one.
Now the next wave of bots is going to hit.
I colored this dinosaur 5 different times. And that's when I started getting irritated with him. And I said, pick a goddamn color. I don't want to keep doing this. And finally he picked albino, and it turned out great. And this was the final page of that issue. And then I did that cover for the next issue. I didn't do any of the internal work on that one because I don't want to work with other artists very often. I like working with my friends. I'm very much about, look, man, I'm at an age where I fucking don't want to work with people I don't know. I only want to work with people I know and trust. And, and so I get to do that, and I like it. Sex does sell. It really does. You're correct in that one. Look, I actually would love to do an interactive comic, but I need someone who knows what they're fucking doing before I try it. And let me see if I can find that other.
Interactive comic. That sounds complicated.
Exorcist Academy art prints. This was the cover I did for Exorcist Academy. I ended up doing a lot of the artwork for this. A good friend of mine that works for IDW gets a lot more work than me. He's actually also more well-known. Was the original artist on this, and they fired him.
Why?
Because I was a better artist. I'm not a comic artist. I'm an illustrator. So I draw more dynamic pages. My one thing that director buddy once said is I have the eye of a director. I really know how to set up a scene. And I went in and redrew a lot of this. Some of it was his artwork, and I inked it. Some of this is his artwork. I redrew all the heads, all the faces in the book to make them look like the actors. So I drew all the faces in this and some of the pages. I drew this page.
That one guy looks like Billy Butcher.
This is actually, he was in the 80s. He was on the hit series Renegade. I can't think of his fucking name. These were real actors. The cover, you can actually see it. That's Lawrence Fishburne's son.
Okay.
In real life, that's his son. And then this guy, and I can't think of his name. He was in that show about a guy traveling around on his chopped up motorcycle. And again, I drew these. I drew this panel here. I drew this panel, but he drew this panel, but I drew the faces. So you see a little mixture of our work. This is another mixed page, but I did all the coloring. I inked this one, fixed this one. I penciled and inked that one. He penciled most of this.
Fixed?
I changed the. I fix artwork. I fix the faces. This one, it didn't look right the way he drew it, so I fixed it. It's okay. He's a good artist, man. He still is a good artist.
Jesus Christ, there they are. See you showing naked stuff and asses, and the bots show up again.
I actually am in a movie, but good luck finding me.
Which one?
I was in a sci-fi film, and my car is in the film too. It was a Sci-Fi Channel film, and I was helping with the effects. And then they shot the movie Roller Coaster at a scene at King's Dominion. And I was at King's Dominion with my football team that day. And we are in the movie somewhere. We're told we're in the movie, but I've never found it. It was somewhere off in the distance. This was 100% him, except the hair. I changed the hair to look like that. And but I inked it and colored it, and I drew that face in. I drew this face. This is all him except for the hair and that face.
Scary.
This one is all him, save for that shot right there. I repenciled it. If you could see it, you'd see there's a lot of detail in that face.
Yeah, not really. It's too small.
Well, you can't see it, so fuck. I don't care. This, let me open this one up so you can actually see more detail. I'll open the other one up so you can see more detail. These are all penciled by him, inked by me, but I made changes to the faces here, here, here. I also drew the dragon. That was mine. He didn't like his dragon. I also drew this. I completely drew that panel.
I like the dragon.
And I drew this face. And I inked his face here. He inked penciled that one. This is all his except for that face right there.
Yeah, I mean, even I can tell that the face is different than the rest from the style.
Yeah, and it was meant to be. Where'd the fucking folder go? Never mind. I'll just fucking do it this way. Open. And I'll show you the close-up to this page, and you'll see what I did here. I drew the actor, Lawrence Fishburne's son, who's actually a trained what do they call a male ballet dancer? I forget. Ballerina is a female, but he's a male ballerina.
Ballet dancer?
He does ballet. Yeah, he's trained ballet dancer.
I don't think there's a male form of ballerina.
But wherever faces needed to have expression, then I did these souped up posters that are kind of funny. These are hand painted of the two actors. He really looks like his dad here. Look how much he looks like his dad. This is ridiculous. He looks so much like Lawrence Fishburne. But you get in there and you see my paint brush strokes and shit.
Not really.
You can't see those brush strokes?
No.
These are brush strokes.
I see pixels, but...
Huh. All right. Let's do that.
I don't have an eye for that. I'm sorry.
I can show you that right there that I'm putting in a box is 3 layers of artwork. The base, the shading, and the highlight, and then the highlight on the highlight to create that realistic look of light reflection on skin.
How long does it take to finish such
that took about 12 hours.
Only?
To paint. And some stuff I can go quicker on. But there you go. That's another comic I worked on. Stop sharing. What means I'm gay? Was it Gerry is more
I didn't catch that
competent
one.
than John Campea? Please don't compare the two. What's that? Somebody compared me? Who compared me to? Oh wait, it was Bill. Has Gerry ever appeared in a movie as an extra or whatever? Because John Campea appeared in The Incredible Hulk. I will tell you this: I've worked on movies. I'm not interested in being on camera. I'm not. I never wanted to do this show, this channel. I wanted this to be all Keith and me behind the camera, making snarky remarks. But Keith wouldn't do it, so I had to come on the show. But I've worked on a lot of films.
Today? Where's Keith?
I don't know. I don't know. I have not received any messages from him, to my knowledge. Let me look and see. Nothing. Nada. Nothing. I'm assuming he got home and went to sleep. He's had a rough weekend. So,
maybe he'll show up tomorrow.
I've only seen one film set ever in Venice when I was a kid in the 80s. Well, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was shot. Some of it was shot in Venice. A couple scenes in Batman. Technically, it was Dark Knight Rises. There's a scene in Venice.
I moved here too late because a lot of Game of Thrones was filmed around here. There's a fortress. There was that fortress where the people hang by the way where I woke up. And in Split, some street scenes, but that was before I moved here, unfortunately.
Right.
That would have been cool. I did back when I was in Vienna, I did see Tom Cruise filming the stunt on the State Opera on the roof.
Oh, nice.
And I was standing on the other side of Ringstraße, the big street, waiting for my bus, and I noticed this stuff going on and people standing there, and then I saw them doing the stunt, and it could have been him. I mean, it was not a very tall man.
By the way, I was wanting to ask you, the name Strauss means street, doesn't it?
Straße, yes.
Yeah, so like the composer Strauss is actually...
No, Strauss is a different thing, Strauss.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It's depends on the writing. It's either a bird or Straußblumen, a bunch of flowers. So...
Well, it's over. It's 2 hours. I got to get to work.
Let's not go into German too, because...
Oh. Ich weiß nicht. D. Bud Martin, I want to thank you for being here, man. Das Wolfen, would you like to touch my monkey? Yeah. Kingsport Cow. Penny J, of course. The lovely Sherry. I really want to get, because like the way you say her name would sound really cool with like that Batman saxophone shit from the 60s Batman, the sexy sax. I thought it'd be funny. And of course, the Anima Confusa. She is in the chat and on the show.
I couldn't let you be all alone by yourself there.
Thank you. Aaron Ratliff, thanks for being here, buddy. War Monkey, one of my two favorite monkeys. JWC Reviews was here. Destiny Captain. Bill Barkley, of course. He's up there in the Highlands, and he's like, oh, I'm watching your wee show. It's okay. Because if it's not Scottish, it's crap. Anyway, Stephanie Beatty, who's a good friend over on Facebook. I know her in person.
That's the Facebook watcher we always do.
Yeah, she's a friend of Keith's and mine. And of course, CC was here. Thanks for being here, CC. It's Courtney Fellowship of Oddballs. It's always good to see you in here, Courtney, despite having the most long, annoying name on YouTube. Monkey Jeebus, my second favorite monkey, was here. Awesome one. Socks was here. Socks, again, always knocking it out of the park, sharing. You get all of you. I appreciate anybody who shares, but man, he goes beyond the Call of Duty with sharing the show. And of course, the Peter Venkman fan side. I'm always glad to see you, young lady. She's a Ghostbusters fan. I need to take a picture of my toys for Instagram. Oh yeah, because you were going to go shopping and get some stuff. I really want to see some of that. But as far as being in films, I've never been interested. I've shot a lot of film. And what I did is like for a short film I did with my daughter in it called White Mouse. My buddy, her martial arts teacher, jiu-jitsu instructor, Theron, played me, the character that was written for me, but I didn't want to play it because I'm directing. And so, and then of course my BFF plays the villain in it. And my daughter is fucking adorable in it. First base inside a trunk once in Germany. I felt like a spy. I'm not even going to tell you stuff that I've done on Air Force bases. I'd probably still get prosecuted for some of it. Because our unit, when I was with my reserve unit, was there at McClellan Air Force Base in Sacramento. And we were right at one of the main gates, and you went through the gate, and it looked like a strip mall right across from the tarmac. And it was my unit. And, well, it's my unit and the MASH unit. The building was split in half. And if anybody from the MASH unit left their lockers undone, I fucking stole from them for our unit. I stole all the time. If you leave your locker unlocked, you're an idiot in the military. Don't do that. I stole so much gear
that goes for school as well.
Because they got better equipment than us because they were a MASH unit. And if they left the locker undone and weren't fucking watching it, I'd go over there and gank some of their shit and take it back to our barracks and hand it out. And everybody loved that. My sergeants love that. They're like, but you're so honest. I said, yeah, if they ask, I'll fucking admit I stole it. But I'm like, our guys need to get taken care of. Girls, too. We had a mixed unit. We had females and males. And really, I don't like saying girl. I don't like even saying woman. I say female because the military kind of beats it into you. We don't call women or girls. We call them females. It's a sign of respect. Whatever happened to the movie? No. What's that?
It's so distanced. Female.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
like
you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to show. You're not to. One of the things they teach you in the military when dealing with civilians in particular, you do not show any familiarity with them. You are to be professional at all times, and you speak. When you speak, you represent the Department of Defense and the U.S. Army, and so they expect you to speak a very specific way. And I did that. I learned how to talk the way you're supposed to as a soldier.
Yeah, so that's a professional thing, though. But in private,
it's the same thing in the military. Really? At all times, it's frowned upon to be too familiar when you're talking to even other soldiers. It's just so when you're on duty, you are not supposed to. Like I was best friends with my sergeants, Sergeant Eugene Tevez and Sergeant Tom Parker, were my platoon sergeants. And my XO is Lieutenant Bose, and I don't remember our first sergeant's name. I just remember he had an accent and he talked like this, and I don't know if he was Pakistani or Indian. But
I was going to say Indian. I love it. When Indian
I couldn't tell
Indian.
though because he did not look Indian. He looked more Arabic in his facial features, and he was. We were getting qualified on the Humvees. We were the first reserve unit to get Humvees in the U.S. Army. And we were getting trained on them, and we had to license to drive them. And being licensed to drive a Humvee, your permit allows you to drive up to a deuce and a half. So I was licensed to drive up to a deuce and a half, the big truck. And he's like, oh, these vehicles, you cannot get them stuck. You cannot do it. And I'm like, I can do it. And he kept saying I couldn't do it. And I'm like, oh, I can totally do it. And I felt he was challenging me. So on our way, so on our way to a field training exercise, I bolted left into a ravine because I knew I could get it stuck. And I went down the ravine, spun left, and bounced and went up to where bumper to bumper were stuck on one side of the ravine and the other on the other side of the ravine, and the wheels it was all wheels spun. It was an all-wheel drive vehicle, and he got so fucking angry at me. But I said, it's stuck. And we had to have a deuce and a half pull us out with a crane.
Gerry, you're the worst.
I lived a wild life. I calmed down in my 30s. And there were times, and even family members saw me do stuff that were like, they thought it was just insane because I put my life at risk. It was during an ice storm. I took off running in front of a jackknifing. It was coming at me, a jackknifing semi truck. Jackknife means it's locked sideways, the tractor to the trailer, so it's making a V shape. It's out of control going this way, and it's coming right at me. And I jumped on top of an overturned van and started reaching in and pulling people out of the vehicle, throwing them up over a fence, helping them get out. And I kept telling people, you need to hurry up. Come on. And I kept looking at the truck. And finally, I jumped off. And right when I jumped off, it slowly came to a rest about 4 feet from the van where I was pulling everybody out of them. I'm like, holy crap, that scared the shit out of me. But then I ran across sliding vehicles. Highway was just absolutely iced over. Ran as well as I could in my shoes, sliding a lot of the way back to the car with my brother-in-law and my niece and nephew. And they were crying, hysterical over, they thought I was going to die. And my brother-in-law, Dean, he talked like this. He's a good old farmer boy from Illinois. He said, boy, Gerry, I thought that truck was going to plow you over and smash you like a bug.
Yeah, it really sounds scary. I mean,
and but I said, look, man, I really I never really saw value to me. I never saw much value in who I am. And it's a problem I have still to this day. I have trouble seeing my value. I just now started to calm down when I turned 40. Mine started at 35. When Zoe was born, she was born when I was 35, and it changed everything for me. Being the dad of a little girl, I suddenly realized how significant who I am was for the first time, and calmed me the fuck down. I stopped doing a lot of crazy shit. Hold on, wait a second. My dad currently has been a civilian in the Navy longer than active duty. He's worked the MWR for about 25 years. MWR, I don't know what that is. Is that anything like the Warrant Officer Corps that we have in the Army? I don't know what the MWR is. I'm sorry, buddy. Flying Cubs and stuff like that. Because in the Army, we have Warrant Officer Corps. And I'm wondering if that's what that is for the Navy, the MWR. Gerry, I can neither confirm nor deny power sliding in Humvee. I've never done that. But as much as I love the Humvee, we had O-rings on the pedal that didn't allow you to depress it too far. And the engines are so fucking weird. The cooling system on military Humvees, when they first came out, run off of the electrical part of your engine. So as you're driving, about every 10 minutes, you'll be doing 55 because that's about as fast as you can go in a Humvee, and you'll drop to 45 when the cooling system turns on. And when it shuts back off, you can go back up to 55. And that's with the pedal all the way down against that O-ring. And that was crazy. But I love PMCSing those vehicles. That's the primary maintenance care of your military vehicles. They were so easy to I thought taking care of old cars was easy. Humvees are simple vehicles. But yeah, I've never done that Cavatina, Che. I've never done that. So that's fucking cool that you did that. Even though you say you neither confirm nor deny, I know you did it. So
yeah.
You fucking did it.
You did.
But my daughter, Jasmine, was born in 2003. It kept me straight, but I was still going 100 miles an hour. I was 21. Yeah, look, males, we're idiots until 26. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. No matter how smart we think we are, we're fucking idiots. And right when you turn 26 is right when you hit that point of adulthood where you start getting it. And between 26 and 35 is that period. And when you hit 35, and I like saying this in front of my buddy Mac.
Gotta go for a second, Gerry. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I said this in front of my buddy Mac to my daughter. I said, if you are still living with your parents at 35, you're fucked. And Mac, of course, was living with his parents at 35. He's like, fuck you. I said, facts are what they are, man. If you haven't figured out how to adult by 35, you're in trouble. If you haven't figured out how everything works, you're in fucking trouble. And it's in your 40s that the process begins being a real man. You know, being you become a father, and being a man, it plays a major role in life. And then when you hit your 50s, those kids are growing up, and you're hitting that point in life where you're getting sick of shit, sick of the way people act around you. And it's in your 50s where you become like me, Keith, and a lot of us guys. It's very common, where we just don't put up with shit like we used to. It's like, I'm too old for this shit. I don't need to deal with you and your fucking weird attitude. I'm not happy in this situation. I've only got so many years left on this planet. Why am I going to waste those years on someone like you? That kind of shit. Yeah. I was an ambulance commander in the Army. And even though that sounds really special, I was still an enlisted man. It was just simply, I was called an ambulance commander because I was in charge of my team with my ambulance. And those Humvee ambulances are fucking amazing. The shell that's on it is airtight. Everything it opens and closes is airtight, and it has no direct contact with the front compartment. And it has its own air filtration system that comes up as two pipes. There's snorkels. What's that?
Marshall, late as always.
Yeah, late.
Kaznish, I tell you.
Oh. Y'all confessing a lot. It's St. Peter yet. Cavatino was annoyed when I got a manual and it showed how to PMCS a motorcycle. Yeah, well, look, man, the vehicles we had, like the Cut V was one of my favorite characters. To be honest with you, the Cut V was one of the best vehicles in the Army. Absolutely. For carrying people, for carrying gear. And all it is the military Suburban. That's all it is. And it's an amazing fucking vehicle. You know, but I'll tell you what, man, I wrote a comedy about what it's like being a paramedic in Seattle, because that's some fucking crazy shit I saw. And this will be my closing story as we end the show. When I was a paramedic, I was on a call, and we delivered a patient to Harborview Hospital. And before I turned to leave, I went back to the closet. The equipment closet. And what that closet is for is specifically for ambulances, for our gear to be placed. And our names were on it. So I would go back there to see if there's any of our gear that got left behind, neck, backboards, everything, you know, including even, I forget the inflating trousers that we use for fractures and for open gunshot wounds and shit. Mass trousers. They're for fighting shock. Keep the blood above the waist and make sure the heart's oxygenating your brain properly, because that shock, hypovolemic shock, is dangerous. That's what a lot of people die from. Legs. What's that?
Life over legs.
Life over legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was grabbing some of our gear, and I stopped when I went walking back to the ambulance, because this guy got pulled in on a gurney up on he was all the way down, laying with his head down on the head of the gurney, with his ass almost straight up in the air with pillows under him on his knees. And the pillows were supporting him. And I caught something right when they were turning the corner going into the exam room, and it looked like his asshole was wide open. locked and wide open, like a big gaping black maw in the middle of his really pale white ass. And I'm like, what the fuck? So as a paramedic, they allow us in there during this shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I turned and I walked in and I looked in and I saw that his partner, it was a gay couple, and they had, and I've seen a lot of different foreign objects get shoved in people's asses. It's so fucking weird what people will do. Light bulb, saw that. So I'm sitting there, or standing there looking at this, and you can see right up inside this guy's colon.
Scary.
Because
and
he had taken one of those Hardee's, I think it was, a Burger King gave out these Coke glasses. They were like small, narrow at the bottom, wide at the top, and they were kind of frosted looking with the Coca-Cola label on it. He had taken one of these smaller glasses and had put it up his ass, and it got sucked in. The rim ended up on the other side of the sphincter.
Why do people do that?
I don't know why people do weird shit like that. I cannot fucking tell you.
A friend of mine works in an ER, and they have a collection.
All I'm telling you is
objects.
there wasn't enough money in the world to make me leave. I was going to watch how they were going to do this. Because I started thinking they're going to have to do surgery or something.
Yeah.
Oh, my fucking God. They didn't knock him out, but they did give him local anesthetic in his rectum because he was in so much pain. And so there was always Korean doctors, man. There are all these Korean doctors. Yeah, I know. I saw. So, yeah, okay, I'm out. So I'm just sitting there like, what in the fuck is going on? What is he doing? This little Korean doctor walks in. He goes, oh, yeah. And I can't even hear what he's saying. He's like, oh, yeah, and I'm like, is he talking to anybody or just himself? I couldn't figure it out. And I still don't know to this day. And he's got his glove and he's feeling around the sphincter. And then he reaches over, grabs some Surgilube, which is surgical grade KY jelly. And he puts it on one finger and he starts working it over the lip of the glass, between the glass and the sphincter, feeling around. He's like, pulls his finger out, pulls the gloves off. He says, I'll be right back. Do not move him. Do not move him. I will be right back. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm not leaving because this is about to get fucking crazy in here. And I'm standing there and he comes back in with a mobile tray, medical tray. And on there is a large steel mixing bowl, some what looks like plaster, and a pair of retractors and gauze, and water too. And he had a big thing of water. So he pours the plaster into this bowl. It's a special non-heating plaster. It's an alginate. And of course, you got to check. They had to check to make sure he wasn't allergic to certain things before they do this.
Of course, yeah.
So he pours it in the bowl, pours some water in there, starts mixing it up, and goes away for a few minutes, comes back, checks the consistency, and he goes, there, very good, very good. So he grabs the gauze and he shoves it into this plaster, then takes the retractors and opens it, pushes it down over the gauze, and then starts spinning it back and forth like that in this plaster. And then he pulls it out and tells the nurse to pick the bowl up and pour into this cup. And the cup, like I said, his ass is almost straight up. So she begins pouring into this glass. And he goes, that's good, that good, that good. And he takes this gauze-wrapped, plaster-covered retractor and slowly works it into the plaster.
Look what Bill wrote.
And I'm sitting there going,
Gary's ass stories.
My fucking God. Oh, my fucking God, I know what he's going to do. No. And he gets it in there and he disappears for a little bit. He comes back and he taps on it and he's like, nope. And he leaves and he comes back again. Now, the second time he taps it and he goes, and he reaches over, puts some gloves on.
That poor guy.
And again, lubes two of his fingers this time and gets on one hand on the other side of the retractor and starts working it and grabs the retractor with the other hand and he's working it, and he's jostling just gently back and forth. Like I said, this guy's got a local anesthetic. He's feeling the pressure, but not the pain. And he's like doing this, working it, and then he breaks the vacuum seal, and you hear it, this loud, just imitating the sound, because it makes this wet sound. And it's so gross sounding. And he pulls it further, and it begins to make a sound, and then this loud smack right at the end. But he's still fingering this guy's ass with the gloved hand to keep it from, because the concern is to prolapse his colon. That's the concern, or to tear it. And that was a major concern because, you know, that could kill you. And so he's being very careful, got this thing out, pulled it out like a fucking cork out of a wine bottle. And there was a little pop right at the end. And I was like, oh my fucking God. I just seen the grossest, most insane thing. No, we don't know. Why do people do these things? They go and look up medical sites with crazy shit that people put up their fucking asses. There is books full of stories of these weird fucking people fixated with sticking shit up their ass. And so anyway, the guy did recover. The guy
is trying to scare
recovered.
people away so we can fuck off. We still have too many viewers, apparently.
Yeah. So the guy recovered really well. I did not check back up on him, but I was told by the doctor later. But the doctor, this is one of my favorite things about him, because right next to that equipment closet that they had was the doctor's office. And it looks like just a really long closet that they worked in. They had their little steel 1950s desk and a little tiny fucking window at the end of this office that no light could come through because it's frosted really and has the diamond shapes on it. So it's just like a terrible place to spend your time. But he had his desk there, because he was the lead ER physician. And I came in one day, walked past his office, and saw he had taken that glass and chipped it off of the plaster. This really happened. Chipped the glass off, and then took a medical saw and cut the retractor off and made it flush. And he sat this as a paperweight on his fucking desk. The plaster cast of the inside of this glass. And I heard this one time. This really happened. I'm not making anything up. I heard this guy walk in. He goes, "What's with the paperweight?" And he says, "Oh, let me tell you."
I bet he loved telling that story.
And he would break into telling the story of that night. And I fucking love this guy. He was a great doctor. And his name was Dr. Nile, Dr. Philip Nile. And on his business card, on his desk, it said Dr. P. Nile.
That's unfortunate.
He had a great sense of humor. He was a really funny dude. And when he was off duty, he liked to dress like Elvis. Fucking seriously. There's a big thing in the Philippines about Elvis. And okay, Kings Portugal. See you later, buddy. No, I'm done now, Martin. It's done.
Yeah,
That's the end of the
you've been
story.
saying goodbye for half an hour.
Yeah. Well, I said, I was going to go tell this one last story,
again.
the outro story. So I need to go to my thank yous. Let's get finished with those. I got to JWC Reviews, Destiny Captain, Code Raven, War Monkey, my other favorite monkey, Bill Barkley from Scotland, Stephanie Beatty, Decepticons Cave of Villains, Cece, It's Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs, Awesome One, Socks Bulletins. Again, like I said before, one of the best guys for sharing our show out. I love that. Peter Vinkman Fansite, who I know is a girl, Cavatino Calvaruman Shea, who's a fellow veteran like me, but an actual combat veteran. And then the Marshal, who is somewhere over there near you.
No, not really near. Other side of the country.
Where's he at? Where's he at?
In the backland somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm down in the south.
Oh, but he's still in your area.
He's in the same
closer
state.
to you than I am, clearly. Bright as day. And Anima Confusa writes, "Help me, Martin." And I can tell you, there's no help coming. It's nothing's coming. You're on your own.
But to be fair, I was warned when I first came on, and Danny introduced me. I got a fair warning.
And once
from
again,
all of you.
just so everybody remembers, I started this show just so I can tell some of the fucked up stories of my life that are funny and weird. Because weird shit has happened to me for most of my life. And I've seen some crazy shit. And I won't even go into the story. I once saw a guy with a lawn dart in his forehead.
With a what?
A lawn dart. Go look it up.
God. Oh, God.
And,
no.
And I saw another guy with an ice pick stuck in his forehead. And that was one of the weirdest ones because he was alert and coherent because it went right into the middle brain. So it didn't pierce any of the logic centers or the frontal lobe. And so he was, and I walked by and I went, "Hi." And I kept walking because he went, "Hey." And then I went, "What the fuck did I just see?" And I turned back and looked in the curtain. I'm like, "Has somebody seen you?" And he goes, "Yeah, they're coming back." And I went, "Okay." You take care. And I walked away going, he had a fucking ice pick shoved in his head. And what had happened, I found out later, he had gotten in a fight with his brother, and his brother got angry and stabbed him in the forehead. Tried to kill him.
Marshall,
at a bar.
Danny needs his beauty sleep. That's why he isn't here.
If you're talking about low quality, you're talking about video quality. It's once again the upload here that my internet is garbage. I'm trying to resolve it, so my shows will be a little clearer. But until then, I'm stuck with this.
I hope your phone comes soon.
Well, I'm going to check for it today. It should be here today. I was kind of hoping it would be here Saturday, and it wasn't. So,
yeah.
But I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are awesome. I want to thank you, Anima, for showing up. You're so pleasant to hang out with. And then, of course, my buddy here, the manager of the show, Martin Acosta Santana. Thank you so much for running the panel and keeping the list. Oh, well, everybody's asleep. Nobody wants to be here.
I'm here. Hello.
Keith, I think, is asleep, and I know Danny is asleep. So. And stop calling me Gerry with an I. The fuck, dude? That is Gerry. Hey, Kyle, you popped in at the last second here. Thanks for showing up, buddy. I don't know if you want to go back and watch the rest of the show because,
don't.
If you do, listen to the last story. It's the best part of the show.
No, skip the last half
when
hour.
I talk about, don't listen to her.
Shut up,
She's
Gerry.
squeamish. But anyway, thanks guys for being
you
here.
You were the first one to call me squeamish.
Here we go. You are.
Oi, begin.
Oi, begin. So.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
It's Gerry. So, I'll play this one too.
Behave yourself.
Yeah, King, that goes for you because I have the ability to kick you now. So don't mess with Danny. That's my privilege.
Saturday morning intro. I'm looking for my outro. There it is. Good. I've got my morning coffee outro. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm really excited about this Wednesday show with Don Ecker. It's going to be a great show. UFO Wednesday. Bringing some more stuff. We're going to be talking about the incident at Disney and the Phobos 1 and 2 incident. The Russian probes that were sent to Mars to study Phobos. One suddenly went inert, and the second one is believed to have been destroyed. That's
Okay.
the evidence that it was destroyed by something. So with that, y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all later.
Bye, guys.